Hello there and welcome back to the channel, and a couple of days without any men's professionals road racing action, but a big news story breaking over the last few days. It's regarding the Colombian climber and ex-cycling starlet Miguel Angel Lopez. The Colombian has been banned from the sport for 4 years through to 2027, a backdated suspension after being found guilty of using the drug menotropin. Now, this has been brewing for quite some time now, since the year 2022. It was sort of blacklisted from the sport as some of the speculation surrounding this incident came out. Sort of suspicious abandon from the Giro d'Italia. And then there was claims that he was involved in a doping operation and ring that was linked with the doping doctor Marcos Menar. Astana were initially pretty indignant that he'd done nothing wrong, but suddenly, a few months later, they let Lopez go. Things just rumbled on and on from there on. Nobody in the conventional European circuit would take him on or touch him for 2023. Instead, he went back to his home team at Team Medellin in Colombia. And he had quite possibly one of the funniest seasons of all time at Medellin. He just took to curb stomping every sort of domestic South American race that he could get his hands on, some in the United States as well. He's just destroying the opposition there because he's a Grand Tour podium sitter. He's a mark above the rest. And then halfway through 2023, he was provisionally suspended. Now the hammer has come down fully, and he's been officially banned from the sport for the next 3 seasons, a backdated suspension from 2023. And, well, it's one of the biggest busts we've seen in a long time. I'm trying to think back to a sort of GC rider of his caliber who's been called out in this fashion. And especially at the height of their powers as well. He's still just 29. He's arguably at the peak of his career. And I'm thinking, well, you do have Nairo Quintana, but there's much more of a grey area incident. Not technically doping with tramadol at that moment of time, but again, that's not technically classified as doping. You had the whole Chris Froome Ventolin thing that was 2017, wasn't it, actually? The Vuelta a España in 2017, which he won. And that rumbled on for a long time. That wasn't even supposed to come out to the public, but he was exonerated from those charges as well. So again, you can't really say that counts either. Perhaps Juan Jose Cobo for the bio-passport infringements. Again, that came about 8 years after his success at La Vuelta in 2011. Everyone had an inkling about that one at the time. Another one I think of, maybe Samu Sanchez. But again, twilight years of his career. He was about 40 years of age at BMC, desperate for another contract. And general consensus there is that he sort of resorted to desperate means in order to secure a race deal for 2018. And obviously got called out there. So you'd probably have to go back to Alberto Contador, I think, to see something of this sort of significance. Grand Tour podium sitter, still at the peak of his powers, being suspended for drug use. And the drug menotropin, it's related, it's a menopausal drug, I believe, intended for women who are experiencing fluctuation during the menopause. Obviously not intended to be ingested by a professional cyclist. And from what I've delved from this drug, read a couple of skimmed through a few papers on it, it's essentially a testosterone booster, which elevates your testosterone without having to take extragenous and purified testosterone. So that is the benefit of the drug. Tale as old as time. There's cyclists looking to up their testosterone through illegal means. And another thing that was interesting about this case, a bit disturbing really about this case, to be honest, from a clean sports point of view. This showed up in no tests, as a matter of fact. Not at no point did Miguel Angel Lopez test positive for this drug, but rather there was irrefutable evidence through whether it was paper trails and paperwork or oral records of his own confirmation of taking the drug. That was what caught him out, basically, rather than any positive test, which, again, from a clean sport point of view, that could be a difficult pill to swallow, so to speak, given the fact that he was clearly taking an illicit substance. He was essentially cheating, but nothing was found on the drug tests, and that is a little bit of a shame. Hopefully there isn't a precedent there, but again, it follows a bit of a pattern. Some of the highest profile busts in this sport, they've not been derived from doping tests, but rather from external matters and evidence. And yes, not the most edifying talking point, I know, but just have to hope there's no precedent to come on this one, and it brings a pretty unfortunate end. Well, I say end, but he could be back to racing in 2027. But a very tumultuous career, kind of, for Miguel Angel Lopez. Very kind of volatile rider inherently. First thing that springs to mind is that 2022 Vuelta a España, where he essentially rage quit the race. Or 2021, sorry, Vuelta a España, where he essentially rage quitted the race whilst riding for Team Movistar, his one and only season with that team, after getting caught out behind a move with all of the key favourites in it. He stepped off the bike immediately, and fights with spectators as well in his past. On his day, absolutely magnificent 2020 Tour de France as well, a sort of race that, you know, encapsulated the whole Superman Lopez phenomenon, where he destroyed the very best. Roglic and Pogačar, lifted himself to third in the GC, and then he had an abhorrent day on the bike in the final time trial, despite it being a climber's time trial. He slid all the way back down the rankings again. That's pretty much the tale and career of Miguel Angel Lopez. Will he be back in 2027? Who knows? Be another interesting storyline there. But I imagine he'll be greeted with quite some hostility, and I think 2022 is the last time that we're going to see Miguel Angel Lopez in the World Tour, but I'm sure there will be a spot for him in 2027 when he comes back for probably on Team Medellin again, back in his native Colombia. Obviously Lopez maintaining his own innocence, and there was reports a few weeks ago that Lopez could about to be exonerated over this. There were maybe falsified reports about the Court of Arbitration for Sports siding with Lopez in regards to an unfair dismissal and loss of earnings when Astana let him go prematurely halfway through the 2022 season. But no such record of that ruling exists. Perhaps that was a falsely cooked up story. He maintains his innocence, though, as pretty much everyone does when they're dropped into this situation. It's the natural thing to do. Cyclists probably eating statistically a lot more contaminated produce than anyone else in the world. But that's the story today, and shame to see Lopez meeting his maker in this fashion, but that's cycling for you.